Trust is critical for us to be successful in the workplace, and trust is harder to build when we're working at a distance. Now, how do we know if it's been damaged? The first thing, we want to make sure it really has been, and we don't want to be making assumptions as a leader about whether it has been or not. If it has been, I think there's some things that we can do that can hopefully help to start to repair it. And I'm going to talk about this in terms of two members of the team, not between me and a member of the team, but between two members. If I, as a leader, am seeing that trust has been damaged there, what do I need to do? Here's what I would say. I would say is you need to number one, make sure it's really your assumption is right. And then you need to get the folks, you need to understand what's going on and get the folks together. I think really at this point, we're talking about the same kinds of skills we would use for conflict resolution. Understand what happened, where are we at, so that we can build a plan moving forward. What would you add to that?
Well, I think the additional challenge, and this comes from being remote, is as with setting any goals or setting any expectations, you need buy-in on how are you going to measure that. And so if trust has been broken and we're trying to reestablish this, ask the parties, what do you need to see? How would we be able to demonstrate this so that you're building milestones and checkpoints in that everybody's agreed to, so that if I have done this, this, and this, will this...
Yeah, and all of that stuff is behavior. So, here's the thing. If trust has been damaged, that's already happened. It's in the past. Can't change that. So now the question between the parties is, okay, what are the things we could do now, the milestones, whatever, but it's about behaviors. If we do these things, if we agree to do these things, if I agree to do these things, does that start to rebuild, or how can that rebuild? What do we need to do? So it's about helping people understand what did happen that broke the trust as a way to say, now what behaviors could we use now that might move us in the direction of repairing it? And I think we have to remember as a leader that we're only working from a place of influence here. That at the end of the day, people are going to make that choice to trust the other person again or not. And there's a lot of deep stuff in there about how people trust and that sort of thing. And again, I think a lot of times that gets wrapped up in, I don't like that person, I don't agree with that person. And I think we just got to focus on behaviors. And if we can get the behaviors, do they get agreement that if we have the behaviors, we can get our working relationship back to where it needs to be? That's key.
Well, and I think it can be very soft and mushy, and this can sound like a very ethereal kind of conversation. But in the long distance leader, we've got that trust model,
Yep.
And it gives you something to check into, right? Is there proof that we're aligned, that everybody's pulling in the same direction? Is there competence? How do I get proof that that person is competent? How do I get proof that that person is motivated? And if you use those three components as your guidelines, as you're kind of establishing these things, you've got a shot, and it's a little less amorphous.